You can go from being praised by Todd McShay
But I think Zach Wilson from BYU belongs at that number 2 spot.
to being booed.
You want a chance to punt here or just
Real quick in the NFL. Is Zach Wilson that bad? Is Zach Wilson the worst quarterback in NFL history? Zeke talking sports? Let's dive in. Playing quarterback is the hardest position in any sport in the world. Imagine trying to complete a pass in under 3 seconds with a 300-pound fat dude trying to take your head off.
I know that it's either, I don't even want to speculate, but let's just say that's happened. Oh no.
Well, he hits him right in the lower rib cage area.
Well, I mean, there's also a chance of broken ribs.
It can take years, if not decades, to finally land a franchise quarterback. Unless you are the Packers, who landed franchise quarterbacks in back-to-back eras. Crazy. Look at the Browns. They started 45 different quarterbacks from 1999 until they finally drafted Baker Mayfield in 2018. Even after taking the Browns to the playoffs for the first time in forever, they still moved on from Mayfield to a quarterback with multiple sexual assault allegations in Deshaun Watson.
Do I make you horny, baby?
Teams like the Jets, Redskins, Jags would give their right arm to consistently get a franchise quarterback. Look at teams like the Steelers. Even though they got 6 Super Bowl victories, they were struggling to find the guy between 1983 when Bradshaw retired and 2004 when they finally drafted Ben Roethlisberger. She's finally got Patrick Mahomes. But look how long it took them to find their guy. Even though Trent Green and Alex Smith were pretty decent, but never good enough to deliver the Lombardi. It's needless to say, getting a franchise quarterback seems almost impossible. There's way more bad quarterbacks that ever played a down than there are good ones. And the Jets are experiencing that right now. The Jets drafted Zach Wilson in the first round in 2021 out of BYU, finally thinking they found their guy. But we're watching history rewrite itself in real time. This conversation isn't for the run-of-the-mill quarterbacks like Dan Orlovsky.
But you just can't do that. You have to realize, and you can see him, he didn't.
Or Mike Long-Neck Glennon. This is for quarterbacks with at least 20 starts. A good sample size of how god-awful they were, or in this case, are. There were a lot of bad starting quarterbacks. Matt Leinart, golden child out of USC. Joey Harrington, quarterback that used to throw interceptions and a couple of touchdowns to go with it for the Lions when he was drafted back in 2003. But there are 2 quarterbacks that stand out above the rest when we have to compare worst quarterbacks in NFL history, and that's Ryan Leaf and Jamarcus Russell. Some might put one over the other, but they are definitely 1 and 2 in most people's eyes. So is Zach Wilson worse than them? Zach has been one of the worst QBs I've ever seen. Wilson got drafted because his unbelievable pro day, where he looked like the next great thing.
Top 5, he couldn't beat Coastal Carolina. First of all, Steve mentioned, oh my goodness, that is just a silly throw.
But the Jets are finding out quickly, not everything that glitters is gold. He makes the difficult throw look extremely easy, and the simplest of throws look unbearable to watch. On Thursday, Zach went 9 for 18 for 92 yards and threw an interception, and got benched for pretty much a practice squad QB. And he continues to miss wide open receivers after receiver after receiver. But this is who he has been his whole career, with a completion percentage of 55% and throwing 4,000 yards in 22 starts, chucking just 15 touchdowns to 18 interceptions, and a QBR of 35.45. God damn, that's awful. He's making butt fumble Mark Sanchez look like Johnny Unitas. The Jets fear that it can get worse as his confidence is starting to die faster than Mace's career. But how does this compare to Jamarcus Russell and Ryan Leaf? Lean sipping Jamarcus Russell threw for 4,000 yards on 52 completions with 18 touchdowns and 23 interceptions with an average QBR of 23.2 during his career. I actually think it's remarkable what Russell did in the NFL while on codeine and watching zero tape.
The Raiders coaches were so convinced that Jamarcus wasn't watching an ounce of film that they sent him home with blank tapes to study and called them blitzes, telling him to watch it. The next morning, Raiders coaches asked what he thought of the films. Jamarcus replied, "Looks good."
He was a different type of I don't give a fuck, and I kind of like that about him.
If you gonna call me a bust, like you say, put the biggest on that motherfucker, man.
I love it.
If you gonna say it, put the biggest on that motherfucker.
Then we have Leaf, the guy who was compared to Peyton coming out in 1998 NFL draft. The next best thing. so many people thought he was anything but. In 21 starts, he threw for 3,666 yards and 14 touchdowns to go along with 36 interceptions with a QBR of 50. Leaf wasn't even horrible his first 2 starts. Then the wheels came off after that and he never recovered. To be a good NFL quarterback in this league, a lot of things have to be right. You got to have the right coaching staff. You got to have the right GM. You got to have the correct configuration of offensive linemen that could actually block for you, a decent running back, and some wide receivers to throw to. Now, none of these quarterbacks might have had any of these, but Zach Wilson actually has these things right in front of him. He has good wide receivers. He has decent running back. And he has an offensive line that could block at least for 3 seconds. Jamarcus Russell and Ryan Leaf came into a bad situation. Robert Saleh has created a decent situation to win now. This team is good enough to go to the playoffs if they had a decent quarterback, which they don't. So is Zach Wilson worse than these guys? By stats, technically no, but he's definitely in the same category. In some eyes, worse than Jamarcus Russell. While Zach might not surpass Russell and Leaf as the worst quarterbacks ever, if he doesn't turn it around soon, he will plant his seed as the 3rd worst quarterback to ever buckle up the chin strap. All right, that's Zeke talking sports. Tell me what quarterback I might have missed. I mean, I got pretty much, I got a couple of them. I can't go through all the quarterbacks. I mean, there's enough trash-ass quarterbacks out there to make this a 5-hour-long conversation. But tell me who I missed. Comment down below. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. This is Zeke Talking Sports. I'm out. Peace.